There's a common question that we're getting from young people in business today is insurance something that they need for themselves? And a lot of times we talk about term insurance and it's a low cost alternative to buying life insurance. But we're talking about young professionals that are having some success in business. If you were Mitch, and you still are a young man at heart, but if you were a young professional today, what's the one thing that you would do when it comes to acquiring life insurance?
Well, in fact, I just had a conversation with a very successful insurance agent who's 28 years old, but he's making a good income doing what he's doing. And I told him, I said, if I could go back and talk to my 28-year-old self, part of what I would do, it's not the only thing, but part of what I would do is buy permanent life insurance, max fund it for 10 years, and then let that accumulate for the next 35 years or so, and have another source of money that I could draw on in retirement. And life insurance has some advantages from that perspective because of the loan provisions of the contracts and the way that you can get the money out. So I was showing him at 28 years old, he was going to put in $50,000 over a 10-year period, and then at 67 we were showing him taking out $21,000 over a 15-year period for that $50,000 contribution. So that was one of the things I told him. I said, I wish I could go back and talk to myself. And what I told him, some of these products weren't available back then when we were younger. The indexed ULs that are out there now, but then also the good old tried and true whole life. My daughter, who is now 24, actually bought her own policies when she was 15, and it's a whole life policy. And I told her, I said, look at the cash value when you're 67, and I'll be long gone, but you're going to remember buying that policy from me when you were 14 or 15 years old, and she's been paying the premium herself. So it's a good thing for young people to get into. The big issue with qualified money out there is, what's the tax rate going to be down the road when I start taking money out? And so depending on who's in power, some of those tax rates on that money that's going to be taxable from $1 could be very high.
What are some of the feedback you would get from a young professional to say, well, I don't really need life insurance, and maybe the 28-year-old isn't married yet, maybe they don't have kids, maybe they plan on it, but right now it's not something that they see. So they hear the word life insurance and they think, well, this is going to cover me in the event of death, right? But you're talking about, yes, it is life insurance, and I think people have to remember that. But I'm sure you're going to get some negative feedback in regards to that. What is the best way to handle that?
Well, again, it's just an understanding because, you can, at 28 years old, he does own some term insurance, but at 28 years old, he can buy a 30-year term, which is almost worthless. He just got married, and I was asking him, he said his wife in here thinking about having children. But, I could buy a 30-year term, and you know what? If I died accidentally in the next 30 years, that policy is going to pay off with tax-free life insurance. But the reality is term is inexpensive for a reason, and the reason it's inexpensive is it doesn't pay. So if you have the ability and the assets to be able to buy a policy that's going to be with you the rest of your life, it's always going to be there. The premium will not change. And the ability to have cash value. So it's really investing in your life. I think one of our companies has that as a slogan, is invest in your life. Invest in your longevity. The fact that I'm 28 and my life expectancy is probably 60 years, then invest in that and contribute to that life insurance policy that's going to build cash value. Win all in, play my cards right. Up the ante, one blackjack all night.
This podcast exists in large part because of KazCM, the content marketing business inside KazSource Inc. KazCM is excited to bring the content marketing services used at KazSource to you. Learn more by visiting KazCM.com. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. It's a big deal to us. We hope you found value in it, and if you did, we would be incredibly grateful if you gave us a review on iTunes. Remember to subscribe to this podcast and feel free to share it with anyone you know. More than anything, thank you again for listening. We appreciate it.